Well, hello, Peeperinos! Welcome back to, right now, Dance Mommy Vlog. We haven't picked a name for our Disney-related videos yet, so with me, with this, is Gooch.
Hello.
I
felt like Garth Algarth right there.
Garth Algar.
Hello.
And with me, as always, is Garth.
Hi.
Party on, we. Alright, so anyway, so this video is going to be our top 10 things we love about Epcot. So I guess we'll just go ahead and jump in and start doing it.
Yeah.
Alright, my number 10, do you want me to start or you want me to start?
You can start and do it.
And by the way, we have not seen each other's answers. His is on the phone, he's techie. I wrote mine down on a piece of paper because that's how I roll.
So peeking.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe. Oh my god!
Excuse me.
Wow. Just another day in the Beam household!
Hey, Diet Cherry Dr. Pepper at its best.
Alright, so anyway, my number 10 is Impressions de France. I don't think that one gets enough love. I don't.
know that I know that one.
It's the movie that they show in the France Pavilion. You go in, it's, number one, it's air conditioned. And number two, it's got very soothing classical music. I have fallen asleep in it before.
Is it like Bob Ross soothing?
Yes, actually. Yes.
Sweet. For those of you that don't know, by the way, Bob Ross.
It's on Netflix!
Painting is not just on Netflix, it's trending on Netflix.
Well, why wouldn't it be? Because Bob Ross is awesome.
Just saying, we binge watched it the other way. Anyway, we were digressing.
Let's totally digress now. But being a history buff and also being a French heritage, I found it interesting because basically they go to different places in France. Not just the Arc de Triomphe and Eiffel Tower, but Versailles and a bunch of other places in France. And I find it interesting. Unless it's super hot outside and I'm trying to cool off and I fall asleep, because it's like a 10 to 15 minute movie. So anyway, I just don't think it gets enough love. Right, your number 10.
My number 10 is Josie's first princess breakfast. Her first princess meal.
And meeting.
And that would be at Akershus in the World Showcase at the Norway Pavilion.
That was good.
Really good breakfast. But it's kind of, a lot of my stuff revolves around Josie now as far as my favorites, because you only have one time when it's the first.
That's true.
And this was her first princess meeting.
It was very special.
It was very cool. And she got to do a parade with all the princesses.
That's right.
Yep.
It was really cute.
Yep, it was.
If I could only get reservations for it this time.
I know.
It's a hard ticket to get this time.
Perhaps it will open up later.
We will see.
Okay.
All right, so number 9 for me is Ellen's Energy Adventure. Even though it's a little dated because, when you look at it, Alex Trebek is obviously not that young anymore. Jamie Lee Curtis is obviously not that young anymore, yet Ellen DeGeneres really has it. She's completely ageless, and
she doesn't age.
And she's awesome. And it's got freaking Bill Nye the Science Guy. I love Bill Nye the Science Guy. It's a very long attraction, but it's
air conditioned.
It is air conditioned. It's very informative. You got animatronics, but you got Jeopardy. I mean, I love Jeopardy, but it's just I really enjoy it. The geek in me enjoy stuff like that. So, what is your number 9?
My number 9 is the location of one of our first meals as a couple.
Okay. All right. So, are you doing like a food?
No, not.
You're adding every.
I'm saying everything.
Okay.
But one of our first meals as a couple. It was on our honeymoon. We went to La Cellier.
Yes.
And it's more because it was one of our first Disney meals as a couple.
As
it was a good steak, not as good as my steak, but it was a good steak. Really nice restaurant.
And I had cheddar cheese soup as an appetizer.
Cheddar cheese soup was pretty awesome. but Le Cellier is a really good restaurant. It's in the Canada Pavilion, World Showcase. Thumbs up.
Very good. All right, my number 8 is Journey into the Imagination with Figment. I really enjoy it. I never did get to see the original Figment show, so I can't compare. I know a lot of people don't really like it. Are you showing me that your number 8 is Figment?
My number 8 is also Figment.
Boom! But when we did it, I mean, I've done it a billion times before, but when I did it with Josie,
Yes.
she loved it.
She loved Figment.
She absolutely loved it.
And what other ride can you go on at Disney where you can not only hear but smell a fart?
Oh, God.
I'm just saying.
He takes his flatulence very seriously.
I mean, you hear and you smell a fart in real time.
But it also has Eric Idle. And we're
True.
big Monty Python fans.
True.
So.
True.
All right.
So,
Yes,
Figment to the Imagination, number 8 for us both.
Yes.
But yes, because Josie absolutely loved Figment.
Yes. All right. So my number 7 is American Adventure.
No surprise to me.
No surprise? Well, I'm a big history buff, like I
Surprised
said.
it's not higher on the list, actually.
Well, there's just so many things.
I know.
But I'm a big history buff. I love it when the Voices of Liberty sing before the show. I just think they're absolutely fantastic. But the movie and the animatronics themselves, there's not a time that I've not gone in there and just boo-hooed when they start singing America, spread your golden wings. I mean, that entire thing just brings out the tear duct. My tear ducts just erupt. I mean, it's very emotional, and being a history geek, seeing things about the founding of our country, and I love it. I love it. It gives me all kinds of chilly feels. So. All right, you're number 7.
My number 7 is the seas. The whole thing. I've always been fascinated with undersea life, sharks in particular, but all undersea life. And it's a huge aquarium. A lot of things, surrounding the aquarium. There's a restaurant called Coral Reef that we love that's facing the aquarium. Josie really liked the aquarium.
She loved seeing the whole thing.
The
yes.
dolphins and the fish and the turtles, and she loved it. She was able to stand there and act like she was touching it. So the Seas Pavilion is my number 7.
Okay, and I will say that it's on my list too.
Yeah. Okay.
A little bit higher.
Yeah.
All right, so my number 6, speaking of the seas, is an attraction that we both did for the very first time this last trip in September, because didn't have children, and I've heard that it's really for children, so I never really bothered to do it before, but I'm so glad I did, because it's just it is Turtle Talk with Crush. I think it is so super cute. I love Finding Nemo anyway, and God, that little girl is just like nuts about Finding Nemo. Totally. She calls him Dude.
Dude Crush.
Yeah.
She'll say Dude Crush.
Dude Crush. But I think it's a really super cute idea to really engage children.
You can actually have a conversation with Crush.
Having a conversation with Crush, really engage them. Stimulate their senses and their learning that way. I don't know what took me so long to go in. I guess because I didn't have children and didn't think it was really for me, but I think it's for everybody. I think it's a super awesome attraction.
She also found out that they may have added a character to Turtle Talk with Crush.
I guess we'll have to find out in December, right?
Find out in December.
That's right. All right, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is probably much higher on your list because I know you have much love for this attraction. Spaceship Earth.
It is higher on my list.
Really great ride to go and relax on, number 1. Air conditioned. And you basically take a journey through human history.
It's the
history of Earth.
It's the history of communication.
History of communication, but
yes.
it's all through human history. how communication has evolved since the beginning of human history. And it's a really cool ride. It's got some cool interactions. Takes your picture, puts your picture on at the end based on some feedback that you give the ride, and it gives you your own personalized feature.
Yeah, that really
cool.
has enhanced it, because back in the day you didn't really have anything on your trip down to kind of stimulate you.
Yeah.
You just have to sit back there and wait on the car to come down. That was a genius stroke. That was a total stroke of genius.
So that's my number 6.
Very good. All right, my number 5 is we're heading back to World Showcase. It is in the Mexico Pavilion. It is the Grand Fiesta with the 3 Caballeros. No way!
My number 5.
What?
3 Caballeros.
Oh, I think it's so much fun. I mean, I love the old Grand Fiesta tour that they did before they added the 3 Caballeros in it, because I'm a history buff. I love the idea of travel. But the 3 Caballeros just really added that little thing. I mean, and it's not...
3 Caballeros.
I mean... Yeah, and I think it's beautiful, especially at the beginning of the ride when you're riding through where San Angelan is, and you're riding right next to that big pyramid, and
That's the 3 Caballeros.
It's 3 Caballeros, and once again, it's like a culture lesson on top of being entertained by the 3 Caballeros.
That's right, and they're searching for Donald.
Well, and he loses his bathing suit in the parasailing one. It's kind of disturbing.
It's kind of disturbing, but yeah. 3 Caballeros is my number 5 also for the same reasons.
Boom. All right. So my number 4, this is probably higher on your list, is heading back over to Future World, and it is Test Track. And it would be higher on my list, and I'll explain why. I love Test Track. I love especially the going fast part. That's the one everyone like. The outside part. I think it was a neat idea to do the design your own car and have a contest within the car to see who built the best car, blah blah blah. But for as long as it was down, I was expecting a lot more of a renovation as far as what was in the ride itself. The ride didn't change. The ride really didn't change. It was just it was more of a cute.
It was the stats for the car you built.
It just kind of stats for the car you built, and so it's a little bit more of like a Q, the Q line thing.
And it's kind of a competition between you and the others in the same car.
Yeah, I was just expecting a little bit more than as far as the meat and potatoes of the ride to be different.
Yeah, it's basically the same. The only thing that really changed was Q line.
Yeah. So, but I do love I really do like Test Track. Speed, duh. All right, your number 4.
My number 4 is another Josie first.
Okay.
This is where she first met, for the very first time, the mouse.
Oh, I know.
At the Garden Grill. And this was where it clicked for her where Mommy and Daddy had taken her. Because, okay, she saw Chip and Dale, and then she saw Pluto, but then she saw Mickey. And that face lit up, and she started jumping up and down in the high chair. We had to get her out of the high chair so she could go give Mickey a hug. If you have me on Facebook, it's my background, my whatever photo behind thing. Her hugging Mickey. That was the first hug she ever.
Not
gave
your
Mickey.
profile pic, but that other pic.
The other pic.
Yeah.
But it's the first time that she ever hugged Mickey, and that's a precious moment.
It was very precious.
So that's my number 4 is Garden Grill, and that experience more because of Josie's first.
The character meal.
The character meal because of Josie's first.
Okay, that's very good. All right, my number 3, you touched on it already, is Spaceship Earth. Once again, I'm a history geek. Epcot really has a lot to offer me because I'm a geek, period. But I love the idea of telling the history. Well, it is human history through what? Stop. Through what we did.
I love that.
Through how we learned to communicate, transportation, all the way up through now with the internet and yeah, I do miss Jeremy Irons being. I love Judi Dench. Don't get me wrong, but I really miss Jeremy Irons being the narrator because he has that voice. He's Scar, for goodness sake. He has that. He's in my all British men talking movie. If I could ever cast that. So
Christopher Lee, Ian McKellen.
Ewan McGregor, Alan Rickman, rest his soul, totally would have been on it.
Patrick Stewart even.
Oh wow, absolutely Patrick Stewart. Oh,
Let me. I'll be right there, baby.
Yeah, we'll be right there.
All right. Okay. So my number 3 is probably not on her list because she's not a big fan of this particular type of ride. However, I'm a thrill seeker, and I don't mind being spun around to the point that I feel like I'm stuck to the back of the seat. And that would be Mission Space with I like the high octane version.
You like the orange line.
I like the orange line. She does the not orange line. I think it's green. Whatever.
Green.
But if you don't like the centrifuge, if you don't like spinning around and feeling the G-forces, because that's really what they're simulating is the G-forces of a launch from Earth into space, and then the G-forces of a slingshot around the moon to send you on to Mars. Okay. So
that's the part that made me sick. It wasn't like the liftoff. I thought was amazing and awesome. Go ahead and do her thing.
But that's my number 3 is Mission Space.
Okay.
If you don't like that type of intense ride, they do have a non-intense version where you can at least experience the theming of it.
Yeah, and like I said, the takeoff is very thrilling. It's amazing. Because I used to not have a non-centrifuge. The first time I did it, I got so sick I couldn't even take it. I wanted to strip off all my clothes and just lay in the grass. I was so sick. It wasn't the takeoff. It was actually when you go weightless, once you're up there, that made me just, oh God, I wanted to barf all over myself. Of course you did. All right, so my number 2, and you've already kind of touched on this, is the Seas with Nemo. I was always a fan of the Living Seas, the previous ride, where you'd get in the elevator down to the fathoms below. And,
right.
But what they have done, using the characters in Finding Nemo to enhance this ride, I thought was a stroke of genius. And I've always been a big fan of the aquarium area, especially when they have the dolphins out. I'm like him. I love sea life, and I love everything about the ride, the Seas with Nemo, Turtle Talk with Crush. The aquarium. And seeing the manatees too. I love seeing the manatees. So that is my number 2. How about you?
Okay, my number 2.
That ride.
You've already touched on it.
Okay.
Is Test Track.
Okay.
I won't go into a whole lot of detail because she's already outlined most of it. But I'm a thrill seeker, so I like the thrill rides a little more. So Test Track, number 2.
Okay. And I like it too. So.
Yeah.
Why do I have a feeling our number 1s are going to be the same?
Because they are. Because I know you haven't mentioned what my number 1 is, and I know your number 1 is my number 1. Because my number 1 is your number 1, and it's because this number 1 is probably the best thing. Well, no, it is the best thing, and I actually think that outside of Haunted Mansion, this might be your favorite ride.
You're absolutely
all
of Walt Disney World. You are absolutely
Walt
correct.
Disney World, and we're speaking of Soarin'.
Soarin'! Now they do have new projectors.
Yes.
And then starting, I think, in a couple of weeks. And while we're down there, it's going to be the new Soaring Around the World. So I'm anticipating doing that, but I am really going to miss soaring over California.
Yeah, but we're going to get to soar over France.
Yeah, but I just love that feeling of the hang gliding, the wind in your hair, and getting those smells. Like the first time you fly over those in the orange groves in California, or like the alpine forest,
or even the salt air when you're flying over, San Francisco Bay.
Yes. Oh my gosh, there's just nothing like it. And I mean, Soarin', nothing's going to take the place of Haunted Mansion ever.
But there's a reason it has the longest line all the time.
Because they have added a new track to it, so that hopefully that will alleviate some of the long waits.
But even still, there's
still
a
do
reason,
Fast Pass.
there's a reason it has the longest line.
Yes, because it's freaking awesome. So our number one is Soarin'. So I do have one honorable mention. Since the Frozen ride is not quite open yet, we obviously can't speak on that. I love Maelstrom. I'm going to miss it. But my honorable mention for Epcot is Living with the Land. Once again, being a geek, I really liked, the kind of, showing how
The conservation message,
agriculture message, going back and seeing how they grow the food that is done at Walt Disney World. I think it's very fascinating. But I'm a geek, so there you go. Do you have an honorable mention?
I do, and it's the little ride that could and doesn't any longer, and I miss it, is Maelstrom. It's not there anymore. It was in the Norway Pavilion, but Maelstrom will forever live on in our hearts.
It will.
I know that's sappy, but it's Maelstrom.
Yes.
And what Maelstrom was, if you never did it, it was in the Norway Pavilion, and it was basically a history of Viking heritage, which I've also always been fascinated by. And it was basically a boat ride, and it had a couple of drops, and it had a couple of twists and turns, and another couple of drops,
and trolls.
And it was just fun. So. Yeah, we miss you, Maelstrom.
We do miss you, Maelstrom. But I'm sure Frozen Ever After is going to be great. Now, I hope that it's not going to be a complete cluster with the Anna and Elsa meet and greet meeting over there. I hope that they're going to.
They're going to have to do something about crowd flow.
Oh God.
But
I'm not looking forward to.
But we'll see.
We'll see. So anyway, that is all for this episode of. We still don't have a name for the Disney videos yet. I'm going to take about a week and think about it, and then we'll do that.
Miska, Muska, Mouska Beams.
Miska, Muska. That's a little long. Maybe Mouska Beams, maybe.
Mouska Beams, maybe.
Okay, so the next Disney video, I don't know if I'm going to do a different type of video, but next week we're going to do a new Disney video, and it's going to be the top 10 things we love about, let's see, Animal Kingdom. Since that, I guess I put Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios on the as the last two, is because there's so much construction going on and so much uncertainty about those two parks.
What's going to be what?
Yeah, so I've even heard a rumor today that someone someone posted on Easy WDW's board that a cast member that they were talking to, like on the phone, told them that they're turning Fantasmic into a holiday show for the holidays. I have never heard of that. If anyone's heard anything like that, please comment below. Please don't mess with Fantasmic.
Yeah, no.
No.
Phantasmic needs to stay right where it is.
Yes. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and sign off while we're under 25 minutes. Once again, for Josie, this is Gooch, and I'm Fantabulously Cherry. Love, peace, and rock. The rock. Alright, bye. Bye, guys. Love.